Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the final pre-qualifying session here at the Grand Prestige League for the LMP Masters pre-qualifying here. It is the last, but most certainly not least, qualifying session here today. So, we're going to go ahead and wrap up qualifying here today before we get started with the season. And let's just go ahead and just run through our standings really quickly. My name is Patrick Goldman, aka Rekus, and I'll be your host and commentator for this final qualifying session. So let's go ahead and talk about how this is going to go play out. So, it is about 53 more minutes. We did kickstart the stream a tad late, so I do apologize about that, everyone. We're going to go ahead and kick it off while we're going to go ahead and just watch these cars go ahead and go around this track for about an hour. And then we're gonna have our final time. So, taking a look at how this is all going so far, Alex still has the fastest time with a 105.069, or sorry, 096. And then it is Comer, Nuco, Lusion, Flaregaze's BP, who made his debut last night, and then Viruzi, aka Arrow, and then we have Ducadono, MayJP, Chemajur, and then Pixel and Killswitch rounding out our group. So we do have a few drivers here today. We have Lusion going ahead and doing his second session, Phantom, who I believe is doing his first, BP doing his second, Ducadono doing his second, and Ghosted, who I believe is just doing his first. So we pretty much have a pretty decent grid here for tonight. So hopefully you guys will enjoy. We'll bounce around between driver to driver and then just go ahead and check in on everybody and see how they are doing. So we're going to come on board with the Super Formula 500 winner of Lusion, trying to get ready to begin his lap. So we are here at the Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. It is a 12 corner circuit, 2.54 miles around, 4.088 kilometers, mid-speed balance of performance. And it is a very fun track, a very tricky track, a track that drivers have been kind of struggling with here today, or actually over the span of the last 4 sessions. And Illusion, the Super Formula 500 winner and runner-up in the WEC Championship, having a bit of a slide, and Pixel has joined in, so this is going to be his second session underway. So we have the session. We have 6 drivers in the session, which is actually double what we've had on any of the streams so far. So, Illusion's going to go ahead and continue on through, although his time won't be spectacular considering the slide, but BP does have a time of a 106.456. So that is the time to be here in the session. Oh, bit of a spike there, considering but that's just because someone joined. And we have the Red Bull Adidas Toyota of Ducadono, a driver who competed last season in the Super Formula category. A very quick driver on his day, but we know that Ducadono, he's got a lot to prove here today, especially going into the upcoming season of Super Formula, which kicks off on November. That is when we're going to go ahead and have our pre-qualifying. So taking a look just at his statistics from last season, right? He was a very quick driver, a very fun driver to go ahead and watch. Taking a look at his standings, he did compete in the WEC, or sorry, no, SWT. He was part of the SWT. Just looking for his specific results. Okay, so he was... I'm sorry this is taking me a moment, y'all. I do apologize. Yeah, he was P5 in the SWT standings last season. And not too far off of P4 Artura, aka Nemesis. So, he's going to go ahead and try to improve on the standings coming this season. Obviously, once it's a solid result here, a 108.197 is going to be his time for now. We'll see if he can improve. We have JetBlue, who has also just now joined the session. Phantom running that Target livery, as he's going to go ahead and go back into the pits. JetBlue in that Toyota. making his way through a interesting livery. It is just his name in blue, but hey, sometimes the simple liveries are the best liveries. But we're going to see if he can put up a solid lap time here. He's going to go ahead and make his way down through turns number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then he's going to go ahead and make his way through the S's. And then he's going to go ahead and jump into turn number 5. Making his way to what I call the drumstick corners. And I will do just that illusion. I will make sure everybody is in the TSO 30, which looks like so far everybody here is in. I will go let them know that I have understood. Another driver has gonna join in, Bikes Monet. I believe this is another new driver, so we definitely have more than 15 drivers now, so it's only going to be the top 14 drivers who will be able to qualify for the season, as we do require 2 spots for myself and B23, the other commentator for the Grand Prestige League. So the top 14 drivers will go ahead and be able to participate in the series, as this is actually a beautiful throwback livery. Banks Monet, unfortunately kind of stuttering around the track, but that is a callback to the Toyota JGTC livery, and this time with a blacked out variant, although I think in WRC they might have ran that kind of livery. Quite a few drivers actually now joined in the session, so this is a very busy session here today. All the drivers trying to improve their laps, trying to make sure that they belong, and as death ghosted into the wall. The Dutch driver not having a super great start to his campaign here, as Ducadono is going to go ahead and continue. Dune, that driver just left the session. I'm not sure if they were part of the qualifying session or not. We'll have to see. And Yuki is actually running a Ferrari livery based on the Ferrari 499P hypercar. I call that awesome. I wish they would have added to this game already. You can drive something that's kind of similar to it if you have the Ferrari VGT or the Vision Gran Turismo concept. It's kind of similar. There's a lot of Ferrari livery or WC liveries for it, as Yuki snaps through turn number 7, which is the second drumstick corner, as I like to call it. He's making his way down that massive 1,275 meter long straight, making his way down into turns 10A and 10B. We'll see if he can go ahead and improve his time and try to jump up the order. It's been a tricky time here for Yuki. We'll see if he can come across the line. That's a 107.706. Not sure if that is an exact improvement or not. We'll take a look at the times real quick. So taking a look at the pre-qualifying. So the best time for Pixel is, actually that is an improvement for Pixel. His best time was a 109 previously, so a 107 is definitely quite an improvement. That'll get him pretty much kind of out of the danger zone. We're gonna hop on board with Banks Monet, who currently has a best lap time of a 104 or 109.461. If we had a 104, that'd be a wicked time, but a 109 is the time right now. Currently that would put them right at P11, just behind Pixel. Oh, Banks Monet's into the wall. That driver's having a tough time with the connection. Yeah, that will have to be noted, as Banks Monet is having quite a bit of lag here, which is pretty unfortunate, but sometimes it does just tend to happen. Sometimes Wi-Fi doesn't cooperate. What we're going to go ahead and do real quick is, actually quite a few drivers are about to go ahead and start their laps. We're going to go ahead and jump on board with one of these drivers. Let's actually do Ducadono, because we haven't seen him yet on stream during any of these, aside from today, so doing an onboard lap with him. He actually might not be ready for an onboard lap just yet. We'll see. We're going to go ahead and do a full ASMR lap. with Dunkin' Donut if he does continue on with the lap, making his way through the final few corners. And we will be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks. Alright, so that was an onboard lap with good old Dunkin' Donut here as he goes to try to improve his position. Yuki now making some very fantastic improvements. So he is side by side with Banks Monette going down the massive straight, but we have seen the stuttering of Banks Monette, and maybe hopefully that doesn't lead too much, if any contact ideally. It will be noted though, the connection, because that could potentially mess up somebody's qualifying run. And that is exactly what we don't want to see happen here today. But while we are going ahead and continuing with this qualifying session, I do want to go ahead and give a massive shout out to our sponsor and partner as Yuki goes into the wall. Very unfortunate stuff there for the Japanese driver. But as I was saying, I wanted to give a massive shout out to our sponsor of W.GG. W.GG is a gaming energy drink brand that is healthier than our competitors. It doesn't use the ingredients that you can't even pronounce or any artificial dyes or sweeteners. So go ahead and use promo code GPL at W.GG to go ahead and get yourself a nice 10% discount, and that way you can also support the league so we can do some absolute fantastic stuff here for you guys and for the drivers. Any way you can support, whether by using our code on W.GG or just chilling here in the YouTube chat watching these fantastic drivers tackle this circuit and this very unforgiving car, or just from listening to us like a podcast. Whichever way you choose to support, it is very valued and very appreciated, and we're so glad that you are here. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you are brand new here to the Grand Prestige League, because I mean, there's a lot of fantastic racing. We have 7 races here of LMP1 Mastery. 3 different cars will be available: the Audi R18, the Porsche 919, and I believe it's the Toyota TS20. Let me double check that real quick. So it is so pre-qualifying is in the TSO 30. So that is the car that you're seeing on screen here, and it's the TSO 50. I think I actually said it was the TSO 20 last stream, but no, the TSO 50. So it's the Audi R18, the TSO 50, and the Porsche 919 Hybrid are the cars available. You have to use each car twice out of the 6 races, and then the final race is in this car that you're seeing here, the TSO 30. As we see the French driver of Dune running in the Iron Lynx inspired machine, making his way down the back straight. And actually we're seeing quite a few drivers here. Some of these might just be randoms. I'm not entirely too sure. I think there's some drivers here who are just kind of random drivers. So hopefully they don't disrupt things too much, or maybe we'll see them on the track here as official drivers. If you guys want to go ahead and join the action, unfortunately this is the last qualifying session, so if you want to qualify for this series, you're unfortunately out of luck. But later on in the year, we do have the GPL 250 that is still coming around, and also starting in November, we will have pre-qualifying for our premier series, the Super Formula Championship in both the our top category of the World Elite Championship, and our secondary category of the Sprint World Tour. Fantastic drivers here, and a lot of drivers that you're seeing here in this LMP Masters did compete in that series earlier this year. With Lucian being the runner-up in the championship and also the winner of the Super Formula 500 this year. Death Ghosted, who also made a few cameos in that series, along with Darkadono, Yuki, aka Pixel. I believe that's all the drivers who have made appearances here. But these drivers are pretty regular here in Super Formula, and there's a car becoming a bit of a lawnmower. I'm not sure who that is. I believe that's one of the cars that, oh, I see. Someone was actually in the wrong car. Noted. So Dune is now going to go and start a lap. That is a 1:10. So about, yeah, 2 seconds, 2.5, almost 2.2 seconds away from Banks Monet. Who, speaking of, has done a pirouette and ended up stuck on the second drumstick corner. As Yuki does make his way trying to get past Dune, and a bit of contact between himself and Dune. These two cars are racing like there's a championship on the line, and oh, that is not good. More contact between the two. Oh, I think that might be on Dune's part. Dune was kind of getting racy with Yuki there, so yeah, I'm not sure that was just hard racing or what, but yeah, that was kind of unfortunate to see. But we still have a good amount of way to go here in this session, so once again, this is a 60-minute session that they'll be just running through. And also in this series, bouncer performance is enabled, but you are allowed to change your ride height, your aerodynamics, and your brake balance. So you do have those three settings available to you if you want to go in and just tune your car to your liking. As we continue on here, we're going to jump on board with Lucian. Actually, no, let's do BP, because BP actually put in some pretty tall lap times yesterday. Lucian with a 105.551. That's an improvement there for the Norwegian driver. And taking a look at things, that is going to put him. That's going to put him in. He's still going to be in fourth, but he'll be joining the 105s club. A few tenths behind Nuko, who was his rival and eventual champion in the World Elite Championship for Super Formula in Season 6. And he was also, and Nuko was also the runner-up in the SF 500. So, I mean, lots of familiar faces here. So, you're only allowed to do 2 of these sessions. So, Comer, Nuko, and Keminger have already done the 2 sessions, although there's no more sessions happening after this. This is the final pre-qualifying session here, and then we go ahead and kick off our first race, and let's just go take a look at the season schedule, shall we? So, on August 3rd, we do 1 hour at the Daytona road course. So that is a very famous track, well known for the 24 hours of Daytona. And it's also the track that in its oval configuration is known for the Daytona 500 and my personal home track. And then we have Deep Forest Raceway for another hour on the 17th. And then on the 31st, we end the month at Spa-Francorchamps. And then we go to the Circuit de la Sarthe, Watkins Glen in September. And then we have Fuji and Suzuka in October. And then later on the following month, we start the Super Formula kickoff. And this is going to be a lot of fun. Super Formula is our main championship, but we are racing drivers here, and so we like to have a little bit of fun. So we are doing the second Community Series, which is the LMP Masters category. So that's what's going on here today. And, I think Yuki somehow managed to kill the engine of his Toyota. I have never really seen that before. I'm actually still trying to process that. I'm sorry. That is an interesting moment there from Yuki, as Death Ghosted is flashing Dune, I believe trying to get him to get out of the way so he can go in and do his lap. So we're going to go ahead and just see how this one plays out. Ducadona is going to maybe try to get a good lap going in here soon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Wait for that battery. And the reason why we do have where you're only allowed to use each LMP1 car twice throughout the duration of the season is that, in particular, there is a pretty big performance gap between some of these cars. The Audi and the Porsche are kind of close to each other, with the Audi being pretty much the dominant car in this category. But the Toyota in general really has bad issues with burning its battery way too early without any real way of kind of fixing it. So that's why every team has to use each car twice, because otherwise it would just become an Audi one make with maybe 1 or 2 drivers picking the Porsche. So just another way to kind of make sure the drivers have a little bit of experience with all the LMP1 cars. And they can use them in any order that they so choose, but they have to use each car twice. And then it is this car right here that they will all use in a one-make race for the season finale. Every race is an hour long, and they'll have the same settings of BOP being enabled, but you're still allowed to tune your downforce, your ride height, and your brake balance. There's a car kind of going off into the distance there. My eyes might have just been playing tricks. I didn't think that was the case, but currently 8 drivers out on track at the moment. A bunch of very fantastic faces here as they're all battling it out, trying to get the best lap times humanly possible. We're gonna actually do another quick ASMR lap. We'll do one with let's see, who should we do it with? Let's go do one with Death Ghosted here. We'll jump from one Dutch driver to another. He's about to begin his lap, and we'll be right back. A very unfortunate spin there as we come back. Very, very unfortunate there for Ducadona, or sorry, Death Ghosted. Hop back on board with a different car. That was actually hop back on board with Ducadona. Actually, we're going to switch up to Lucian here, who is getting ready to run another lap for himself. So the fun thing about this qualifying session is these drivers get more and more comfortable with this Toyota as it goes along, and I believe Lucian has used, so when I did a stint with Enduro GT for the 24 hours of Spa, I saw Lucian in, I think it was the TSO 50, the one that we're using during the main season. And that Toyota really just burned its battery up and then just immediately just, yeah, it didn't really do super well. As there was a bit of a disagreement where Dune was being kind of rude to one of our drivers, so there is no place for that here at GPL. We treat each other with respect. Rivalries are gonna happen, but there is no need for that kind of disrespect. I don't believe he was actually one of the registered drivers anyway, so We did lose a driver from the session, but it is worth noting that if you're kind of rude to one of our drivers, then there is no place for that. Even if it is even if it is one of our drivers being rude, then there will be certainly some reprimand going their way. But I mean, well, I was gonna say I'm not a teacher, but I am a teacher in the real world. But in this case, I'm just bringing all the action to you, reporting on it to the best of my ability. And that is exactly what we're going to continue to do. So, honestly, with this calendar that we have here, it makes me kind of wonder about, and I'm just going to throw some speculation out there, is, actually, I'm going to rearrange this a bit. I want your guys' opinion on this. How would you feel if GPL did a multi-class series in the coming future for another community series? So it'll be after the Super Formula series, so it'll be about a year from now. But would you guys like to see a multi-class series? Because I think that would be a lot of fun, personally. Hello, Alex. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for popping on in. Are you joining this session? Because I think you still have one more session that you can use to go ahead. You are still on top of the timing table. So are you going to pop in for another session? That is the question at the moment, but regardless, hopefully you are doing well. If, for those of you who may not know, Alex is a driver in the World Elite Championship. He raced with Porsche Motorsport and got some race wins last season, so he's definitely on the upward trajectory. Definitely a driver to watch this coming season in Super Formula, and he's currently got the fastest time here in the LMP Masters Series. If Luz goes 0-4, I will join. Alright, noted. 2 wins last season in GPL for Porsche. So definitely one of the most improved drivers from being one of the memed drivers from the GT500 series to a multi-time race winner in the Super Formula series. So that is, if that's not character growth, I don't know what is. But regardless, he is one of the very talented drivers that we have here at the Grand Prestige League. So if you want to go ahead and prove that you are one of the best drivers in Super Formula in Gran Turismo, then go ahead and let us know in the chat. We'll get you a Discord invite, and then you can go ahead and get registered, and we'll see you hopefully in the pre-qualifying. And hey, we already have one new team joining next season, so maybe we'll get a few more joining in. So hopefully. Oh, this is Yuki doing the smart thing and just getting out of Dodge without a potential incident. Considering that Banks Monet has been kind of a stuttery figure in this session. Very nice liveries, I will add, but just very, very stuttery as we make our way through the circuit. But I think you might have left that curse back in the GT500s, Alex. Haven't seen any of that recently, considering I have commentated also for several series that you're a part of, but who knows? Maybe it is a community series curse that you might have just brought upon yourself. But as for the main races, they'll be kicking off at 2 p.m. CET. Or, no, sorry, that's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Got the time zones mixed up as E46 got his direction kind of scrambled a bit, running the track on the reverse layout temporarily as Takadata continues to make his way, trying to improve that lap time. Yeah, I understand, Alex. That was a pretty fun race to cover, but I think the races here are going to be a lot of fun to cover. It's the first time that we're actually running LMP1 here at the Grand Prestige League, as Lucianus went in and said that there's 30 more minutes left of the session, so we will wrap up this session at 4:06, at least 4:06 Eastern Standard Time. So I think that translates to around 16:06. So here's the thing. I mean, I know Lucian's car, but that's been happening to a lot of drivers. That's happened to Comer, it's happened to Nuko, it's happened to Kemisher. It happened somehow to Yuki, where Yuki just found his car beached and killed his engine, which I've never seen engine damage in this game before until then. So, congratulations, Yuki. Yeah, congratulations, Yuki. You have shown me something I've never seen before in Gran Turismo, where the engine got damaged out. So that was interesting. We're gonna jump back on board with Banks Monnet. See if he can go ahead and improve. 16 seconds off the pace, not necessarily improving. What about Phantom though? Phantom is taking a bit of a day at the beach right now, just waiting for a good chance. He decides just to go back to the pits. It's more trouble than it's worth. You still got half an hour of session left to go, so anything is possible here in this session. We can even see Takadono jump to the very top of the times, so we will see. If that's the case, it will mix up the grid. It's the first time I've seen engine damage here. And Yuki, oh, we got it again! Yuki got it again, so I guess I've just somehow been lucky enough not to see it. Yeah, that's, Yuki's been having a bit of a tough time in this car. He has improved his time though, so he's now in the 107s overall, but I think he did have some suspension damage, but, oh, Banksman, that's not really in a good spot as Yuki begins his outlap. A few of these cars pulling away, trying to give Yuki ample space. And, I mean, this track in general is not super friendly with this TSO 30. Because we've seen quite a few drivers kind of struggling with this LMP1 in particular. I mean, we've seen Toyota Airlines on 2 occasions in the very first session with Comer and Kemajur making their car go into the stratosphere. And then also today we've seen Yuki damage the engine out twice. Hopefully that doesn't happen in an actual race. And I mean, this is a good time to kind of iron out those kinks. I mean, taking a look at the mileage, he does have a lot of mileage on this car. About 2 miles of mileage, which will be reset at the end of the session. But let's see who's got the most mileage, because that's kind of a fun game I like to play with these cars. So we just got 457 miles on that car overall, and then we had to Ghosted, who's got just under 50 miles. Might have all come from today. Good to get those mileage in for those test laps, try to get a feel for the car. Yuki has about 3.5. Takadono's got 152 just about. And then Mana has 95, we got a lot of damage. And then Lusion, we've seen his, and BP's got 314. I think in this car in general, I want to say I have about probably like 6 miles on this car. Yes, the miles is directly under the fuel. The number will change if you set it to kilometers. It'll display the kilometers driven instead of miles. So you can still personalize it because I know America is one of the few places that actually uses miles as opposed to the metric system that tends to use kilometers. Hence spawning the meme of what on earth is a kilometer. There's other words there, but not YouTube appropriate. I'd rather not get us demonetized, but Yuki would be the first to land on the roof. I mean, it would get a good laugh from myself and B23 if that were to happen, or if it happened in this session. It would make me laugh quite a bit. I've already seen some pretty wild things here around this track, so I think I might actually just make the screenshot I took of Kemajur just going airborne in session 1 as my desktop wallpaper on my laptop. I might just do that just for the funny. But yeah, anything can happen here. Anything can happen in this session. There's a lot of room for error, as we've seen, because even championship drivers have made mistakes, have spun the car. And this is really a unforgiving car, and I know if you've driven this car, you can attest to how twitchy this thing can be, and how much it just likes to kick out and just bite people. As Ghosted is going to make his way down the back straight, 1,275 meters long, or 0.79 miles down this back straight on the exit of turn 7. There's a car kind of parked at the end of turn 7, but we're just going to go ahead and stay on board with Death Ghosted, as he's going to go ahead and ghost his way into the top 3, potentially. We'll see what his lap time is. Going to get to a bit of grass, so maybe not. He's pretty much going to go to the line. Is he going to improve? No, he doesn't improve, and then he gets a half-second penalty, so that's going to be unfortunate for the Dutch driver. Let's check on the Frenchman here, who's having a bit of a stutter at the moment. Trying to get his way through the track. The French connection not exactly working to the greatest, although it is tricky trying to make sure all the connections, plural, are stable, just because racing is such an international motorsport. We have drivers from, just on the screen alone, we have drivers from Norway, France, USA, the Netherlands, and Japan. So that's 5 countries right there. So trying to get all those drivers connected on the same server poses a few technological challenges, but hopefully when it comes time for the race, then this will all be kind of sorted out. But Lucian is going to go ahead and start a lap here pretty soon. He's going to make his way down the drumstick corners. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in to today's live stream. And that is completely up to you, Alex. You can join the session if you want. I know you still have one available, so if you want to go ahead and get amongst the midst, then that is completely up to you. As we have Bray Bray. I think Bray Bray's in the wrong car. I'm going to check, because I think that is actually the wrong car. Yep, so I will go ahead and let that driver know that he is indeed in the wrong car. So that is the wrong car. That's the car we're going to use during the season, so it's the correct car for in-season use, but not the correct one for this current qualifying session. So we'll see if he does manage to switch the cars around. I knew something looked a bit off about that car. Yeah, interesting. He is, but that is the version that we're going to be using during the season. So each driver will be required to use that car twice. It is known for having a bit of a battery usage problem, as I found out from Lucian previously. I want to know from you. You know what, just because you have another session left, Alex, come on in. See if you can improve that time. I know Kobe got close to a 109, but didn't quite get it. Yeah, we still need this driver here to switch his car. As we have Colatono now jumping into the session. That's a Porsche. I think that's also the wrong car. Just gotta double check. Yeah, so I gotta go and let these drivers know that they're in the wrong cars. Acting like a mini steward, actually, in this session. Well, Bray Bray has indeed left the session, so... And actually, both of them have left the session, so... Oh, that problem kind of sorted itself out. So, to answer the question, so... In the season, we're using that TSO 50 that Bray Bray was in, and it's a newer car, so... The car that we're using here is the 2012 car, and the one that we're using in the season itself is the 2016. Because there's those 3 different cars you have to use. You have to use the 919 hybrid, the Audi R8 or R18, and then the Toyota TSL 50. This is the TSL 30. It's an older model. Still has the same issues with battery, just burning super quickly. So yeah, I mean, it's a visual difference too. The nose is kind of more pushed in on the TSL 50 in terms of visuals, and obviously the Porsche and the Audi do look pretty drastically different. The Audi is a very flat car in terms of nose, very wide and flat nose up at the front. I actually used to run a Full Sail University livery on my Audi R18 when I raced in LMPs. Although I never did more than just random public lobbies, but still I did run a Full Sail livery machine at one point. Actually on several points. I did the online manufacturers cup in a Full Sail machine. And had some decent-ish results. How I got a race win in that series is beyond me, but regardless. So we are getting closer and closer to the end of the session. And we're actually going to go ahead and do another quick onboard lap. We'll see what we can get, just so we can hear the sights and sounds of these cars. But instead of just the sights and sounds of the cars, I will narrate the lap too. We'll do Illusion, because he's the only one who I think is about to actually start another flyer. So we're going to hop on board now with the Norwegian driver, as the keyboard functionality for the cameras has decided to cease functioning. So we're going to do things the old-fashioned way. Alright, so here we go. He's going to make his way down into turn number 1. Going ahead. It is a flat-out corner that can really, cause the drivers to spin out. Now he's making his way through the S's here after turns 2, 3, and 4. Going through turn 5 now and making his way down to the drumstick corner. He is 0.2 of a second off of his personal best time. He's going to go ahead and hug the inside of the corner. Going through turn number 7 now, so he's exiting the drumstick, going on to that 1,275 meter long back straight. He's going to go ahead and put the foot to the floor, pedal to the metal, and he's got his hazards on, using that extra bit of blinker fluid to continue on. As I think Duncan Donor is retired from the session, he put his lap time in there at the end, going to get it downshifting early, so I think that's his qualifying run done and dusted. So interesting is just the camera functions have ceased. Interesting. Oh, there it is. So a fun quirk with the keyboard spectator mode. Gotcha. Oh, and that's a spin there from Banks. But so if you ever get into broadcasting, quite a few cars actually doing a bit of a pirouette there. But if you ever get into broadcasting for Gran Turismo and you're using a keyboard, a fun little quirk I found out is, first off, any cheap keyboard will work as long as it'll plug into your PlayStation. But if you have caps lock turned on by accident, the camera buttons, which is G through L, they just don't work. Funny little quirk, but if you turn off caps lock, it'll work just fine. As Banks on it puts in a 108, that is going to be his best time, as he's going to go ahead and retire from the session potentially. Now, if you do leave the session early, you are required to go ahead and put in your time. But otherwise, you don't have to put in your time until the very end of the session, unless you are leaving early, which some drivers do. And Death Ghosted is here on this corner, just kind of aura farming. Maybe he's grabbing some McDonald's. Maybe someone stuck some McDonald's into the cockpit of that TSO 30. Just taking a little bit of a snack, watching these cars go by. He does have the best seat in the house. Changing the definition of trackside view. And we're now going to jump back into the drivers currently actively racing on the track. Illusion now is going to try to go ahead and get a personal best that may even put him ahead of Comer and Nuko. It is an improvement. It is a purple sector 1. So it is 0.84 or 0.082. So 8200th of a second ahead. Can he continue that pace? He's going to go ahead and burn all that battery down this back straight. We'll see about a sector 2 split if he's still up on his personal time. We'll we'll find out momentarily. Is he still improving? No, he is not. He lost about 2.5 tenths just with some of those cars getting turned around in that drumstick section of the track. The turn 6 and turn 7. He's going to go ahead and punch it through the line. He's going to go for it. Is he going to be able to improve? No, he's not improving. Death Coast does a 106.351. That is his time, and I think he is actually going to call it after aura farming for several minutes on end. He is taking a nap on the side of the track. Honestly, now, so here's a little bit of a fun story time as BP goes ahead and does ballet in his Toyota. But a little bit of a fun story is, so at the college I went to, which is in Orlando, Florida, they have a 3D printed Red Bull Formula 1 car with actual specs provided by Red Bull Racing. It is the RB21, or not the 21, the RB16B, used in the 2021 season. And they actually have the custom fitted racing seats made out of carbon fiber and 3D printed, so it was actually really cool. I got to sit in it. I do have photos of it, of me sitting in that car, and those racing seats are, despite the fact that they are pretty hard, they are extremely comfortable. I almost took a nap in one of those, so I can imagine with any actual cushioning, it's gonna be really easy to take a nap in these machines. And I'm sure, like, especially if you race at like the 24 Hours of Le Mans, I'm sure taking a nap in the seat of that car just hits different. Like, you're probably gonna get the best sleep of your life. It's like when you're going through high school and you take a nap on one of those school desks. It's just like a generational nap. Yes, a 3D printed Formula 1 car. Yeah, and this one wasn't made for my back, but it was a printed seat, and yeah, it was it's a life size too, so it is like, has the actual dimensions and specs of the actual Red Bull RB16B, so very cool. Got to work on the project a little bit. I helped with a few parts of it while I did a small little internship there, but it was a fun time while I was at Full State University working on that, just working on that car towards the last few months of my degree. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Apparently some actual Red Bull Racing staff went through there at some point. I didn't meet any of them, unfortunately, but it was still a really cool experience. And they had the actual like 3D printed steering wheel from the real car too, so that was also really cool to kind of hold, although the steering wheel that was in there when I got into the car was just a simple sim rig wheel. Actually probably a similar wheel to that some of these drivers might be using here in this session, but so that's a little bit of a story time. So yes, back to the original point. Ghosted, I fully support a driver taking a nap in the car with some beautiful sounds going past every so often. So we're getting closer and closer to the end of the session. This session kind of flew on by because we did have quite a few drivers going through, setting personal bests. Illusion is looking like he wants to go in and improve. He did improve actually from his personal best a while ago with a 105.506. So that's not gonna, I don't think that's gonna put him ahead of Nuco or Comer, but that is still gonna be an improvement on his time. Gonna solidify himself into P4, and now he's gonna go for another lap. We'll see if he can go ahead and improve here. And there he is. Alex is now here. Now he's gonna go ahead and see if he can improve on his personal best. Alex is on top of the timing session. So we'll see if the German driver can go ahead and make an improvement on his already blistering lap time. Illusion's going to be improving. He is up by 1.2 tenths of a second. But something I've noticed is that this drumstick corner can really mess with some drivers. I've seen quite a few lap times lost through those corners in particular, or turns 10A and 10B. I've seen a good amount of time lost in those corners as well. So anything can happen. We'll see about the sector split when he comes across the line. Yeah, once again, he lost about 2.5 tenths just about in that sector, just on that drumstick corner alone. So you can get really solid lap times through that first sector, but that drumstick corner really just bites drivers. So pretty unfortunate there. So a few drivers still remaining on track at the moment, as Yuki does make his way through. Now, here is a interesting question that I'm going to ask in the chat, because I feel like I ask it at least once a month. So, I know earlier we were talking about a multi-class championship, but when you think of multi-class, you think of the World Endurance Championship. And when you think of the World Endurance Championship, you think about some of the tracks that they race at. So I know there's 3 tracks in particular. Actually, 4 tracks, I think. There's about 3 or 4 tracks that the World Endurance Championship uses that aren't in Gran Turismo yet, and I think that some of those tracks could be pretty nice. So, if there's a racing track from any racing series that you'd love to see in Gran Turismo in the year of 2048 when they finally add a new track, what track would you like that to be? And also, speaking about the time, it is, I would venture to say, about another 9 minutes, so less than 10 minutes left, I believe, in the session, because we're wrapping up at about 4:06 or 6 past the hour, and it is 3:57 here in the USA right now. So, and to answer this question for myself, if we had somebody driving the Audi, one of the Audi LMP ones actually has the Bahrain International Circuit layout on the inside if you go into cockpit view, so I would like to see that track, because that's probably one of my favorite tracks, and you get a lot of good layouts that you can use for multiple different types of league racing, so that would be my pick, personally. I know modeling a track does take a lot of time, but if they did add the Bahrain International Circuit, in my opinion, I think the player base would actually be pretty satisfied for quite a while, even if they do add some new random K car. Silverstone? Silverstone, yes. I mean, I'm pretty sure not a single person would complain about Silverstone being added into the series. And actually I heard that Silverstone might be coming to the World Endurance Championship in 2027. And for those of you who keep up with Formula 1, did you hear about the sprint race in Silverstone for next year? Well, the sprint calendar is supposedly being leaked. It involves Silverstone as a sprint race. I think it's kind of neat, but it's still pretty weird seeing Silverstone as a sprint. And Alex spins himself right round in that Cadillac. I mean Toyota. It is the Cadillac themed Toyota. Cadillac in the World Endurance Championship does get into a little bit of drama. They do a little bit of trolling. Although they did get their first WEC win in Interlagos, and it's a big spin for Alex, spinning his Cadiota around. He's going to go ahead and do another spin and give it another go, as now Yuki is going to go ahead and make his way down the track. Illusion now, let's see what his time is going to be. As we're coming down to the final moments of the session, still about a good few minutes left to go, so it's not quite the end of the session yet. But I believe we're at less than 10 minutes to go. The session did open a bit before the hour, so we do have more than 3 minutes left to go in the session. As Pixel is saying what's up, just saying hi to, I believe, Alex. So, hello Pixel, good to see you on track. Not good to see that you have damage on that Toyota Ferrari. We actually do kind of a mini World Endurance Championship here. I mean, we have the Ferrari, we have the Cadillac, and we have obviously the Toyotas. I mean, you could say BP's livery is kind of like an older Alpine livery, although I know it's a Rebellion Racing livery, but... And then we have Banks Monette, who I think is actually still running that Toyota livery from earlier. But yeah, I think Bahrain would be my pick, and Alex just putting his car into the wall. He hasn't put a lot of time on the board yet. Now, a 105.252 from Illusion. I think that is actually enough to have him jump over Nuko, I believe. Let me go ahead and check that real quick. Let's go ahead and check my statistics here. So, okay, so he wouldn't quite jump Nuko, but he would still be pretty close. because Nuko's in P3 at the moment with a time of a 105.175. That is currently the time to beat. Alex showing his hatred for the American car. Oof. Yeah, I guess come to think of it, I've never seen Alex really drive an American car. He's always been in a German machine. Anytime I've seen him race, I mean, he had a Porsche livery for Super Formula, and I've seen him in other series drive a Mercedes and an Audi. I think he also has driven a BMW at some point. So, I mean, hey, he likes the cars from his country, and to his credit, usually the German cars in this game are pretty solid picks. So, nothing against that. I still think that if we did get another classic race car, I think we should get the Porsche 961, which is the kind of the track variant of the 959. Interesting car. But we see a bit of a drag race here between the Ferrari and the Cadillac, aka two Toyotas with a modern WEC-inspired livery. I had that Ferrari livery on my Ferrari VGT, funny enough. So. And I'd have the kind of like the color flipped version, like the AF Corsa livery on a Super Formula car. That's pretty cool. But yeah, speaking of the Super Formula, next season, I mean, we might see some counter stuff here, at least closer to the end of the LMP Masters series. So, I mean, I'm excited to see the counter because I mean, I think it's going to be a fantastic season. Illusion questioning Banks. Apparently Banks did something that Illusion wasn't too big of a fan of. And now there's only a minute left of the session, so that really snuck up on us. So soon we're going to go and see the final laps from these drivers. So each driver is going to get this lap and probably another lap. So we will see how this one plays out. So we'll stick on board with Yuki as he'll be the next one to go and do a lap. And Alex is going to get a fantastic slipstream behind. We'll see. The battery is being burned up, or it's already all burnt out. Yuki is on for a personal best though, so we'll see if Yuki can go ahead and keep up that speed using the energy recovery system in that Toyota. He's going to go ahead and put the foot to the floor and make his way down through turns 11, through turn number 12, and across the line. It is an improvement to a 106.480. Alex puts the time on the board, a 105.846. And he puts himself into the grass, into the wall, spinning him around like an American-Japanese Beyblade. And I think that's going to be his qualifying done and dusted. He didn't improve his time, but he was at the top of the timing table. His BP sort of breaks the laws of physics. So Yuki has a 106.480. That is his time. So the only driver left is Banks Bonnet. And it's now time for everybody to confirm their times. And then that is going to be pretty much the end of the session. BP at a 106.011. That is his personal best time. So Yuki already confirmed his best time. Alex would have to, I think Alex still needs to confirm his. And then Banks Bonnet, I think, confirmed his earlier. I don't know if he has to confirm a new one. So we will see. But yeah, I think this wraps up the session here, everybody. We're just going to wait for everybody to return to the pits. I think these two really are just about to be on their last lap, but Alex can't set another lap. Actually, I think both of these drivers can't set another lap because it is an out lap. So Banks and Alex, their session is pretty much done as well. So with that, we are done with qualifying for the LMP Masters pre-qualifying. The optimal time was a 6.226. Oh, that is unfortunate. I know Comer 1 point out a 104 as the optimal time, but just lost it in turn 10A. So, as Alex just lost it, and he's got engine damage again. Just like Yuki did earlier on in the session. Something tells me I feel like that was kind of on purpose, but anyways, everybody, that is, I believe, the end of the session. So we do still have a few drivers just going right ahead and getting extra laps out on track, but we are done with the session here. So thank you guys so much for popping on in and tuning into this fantastic session. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe so you go ahead and see all the races that we're going to do here. We are going to be back next week, to kick off the season at the Daytona International Road Course. And it is going to be fun. These drivers are going to give their all for an hour. And they will have their choice of the Audi R18, the Porsche 919, and the Toyota TSO 50, all cars from 2016. So, without any further ado, once again, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus. I've been your host and commentator for this qualifying session. And another massive shout out to W.GG. Go ahead and use promo code GPL at the checkout to go ahead and give yourself a nice 10% discount. And then go ahead and also help us to create some really cool stuff for the league. We do have some really excellent plans in the future, and we would really love to execute on those plans. But anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up the session. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in, and we'll see you guys next time for the first round of the season at Daytona. Have a good night.